Esteemed colleagues, please welcome to the City Science Summit stage, Kent Larson, the Director of MIT City Science.
So, hello everybody. It's great to see all these old and new friends and see everybody together again after the pandemic. We're really excited about this program we have put together. Let me just give you a little background. Some years ago I decided we wanted to try to get our work out into the world, and we're doing that in a number of ways. One is we formed a network of affiliated city science labs around the world, and every year we bring the network together for a city science summit. We started in Andorra, we went to Shanghai, Taipei, Guadalajara, and now we're here at our home. So welcome to everyone from the network who can join us today and all our friends. What we do every year is we partner with a collaborator, and this year we're honored to partner with Norman Foster and the Norman Foster Foundation. We collaborated in putting this program together. We're very excited about what we're about to present to you. The program today will consist of two parts. The first is presenting our urban performance model, our social, economic, and environmental performance model. And we've picked this area, the MIT Kendall Square, to apply that model and a series of interventions to see what this place could be by 2030 if we were really committed to making a difference. The second part of the program is focused on a new science neighborhood for the city of Kharkiv, an area that was destroyed by Russian missiles. We will bring together Norman's long experience in architecture and urban planning, together with our more data-driven, evidence-based approach, and we're just starting that process. So this is really kind of the launch of the beginning of a new process to see where it leads. The second day, tomorrow, will be a series of workshops. So that's where all our collaborators will lead workshops. We have 3 sets of workshops. I hope some of you can join us for that. It's pretty exciting. But to kick us off, I'd like to welcome the amazing Dava Newman. Where's Dava? To come up and to say a few words.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. How are you doing? I'm Dava Newman, the director of the Media Lab. It is our honor to welcome you here and have you in the lab. We're so glad you're here in person. Real people, full audience. Oh, well, we're here to really look today at solving the most pressing challenges of our time with local action and community scale interventions. When I joined the Media Lab just over a year ago, I was most excited about the lab's ability to have true impact and enable real change. Our vision is to invent a better and more just future by, with, and for all. I'm extremely grateful to work with the genius students, the faculty, the researchers here in the Media Lab to address the greatest challenges that humanity has over the next decade, nothing less than that. I'm thrilled to welcome you into our home. We're much better having you here and working with all of you. In the next 2 days, I hope that this can be a place of magical inspiration for you all. I'm glad to be here not only as the director of the Media Lab, but also the Apollo program professor, a researcher, a colleague, to partner with you to face these incredibly challenging problems we have facing society. Our work always places people at the heart of all that we do. Kent's mentioned today and tomorrow's program, first, to reimagine and redesign cities so that we can successfully combat climate change. And second, to look to a future, Kharkiv, that empowers citizens, is climate forward, creates and inspires great innovation, and can act as a model not only for the Ukraine, but far beyond for all of us. Neither challenge is small, and these great challenges require help of many individuals and organizations and our entire community. So we're so grateful to have you here to engage in the ongoing impact and dialogue going forward. It's my great honor and privilege now to introduce our next speaker, Senator Ed Markey. Senator Markey has been a national leader and author of some of the most important laws for energy, the environment, telecommunications. On a bipartisan basis, he's authored more than 500 pieces of legislation into the law. He's been a powerful and effective voice for enhancing energy efficiency, transitioning our economy to clean and sustainable energy resources, and consequences of climate change, bolstering U.S. global security, defending human rights, and enacting financial reforms to protect consumers and investors against all types of abuses that triggered the global recession. Ensuring the continued openness of the internet, advancing the interests of consumers by injecting competitiveness into electric and telecommunications markets, and protecting the personal privacy information for all of us. There's no greater champion for climate and the environment, what I call Spaceship Earth. He's our watchdog. He puts action into the policies, and so it is my great honor to welcome to the stage Senator Ed Markey.
Thank you, Dava, so much. You are such a great leader for this time here at MIT and for our country and for our planet. My wife is actually a visiting professor at the MIT Media Lab. So Dr. Susan Blumenthal, so I'm proud of that, obviously. I first came over here in 1986 as the chairman of the Telecommunications Committee in the United States House of Representatives. This is my 46th year as a member of Congress, and I was the chairman of Telecommunications. So I came over here for a meeting with Jerome Wiesner and Nick Negroponte as they were founding the Media Lab. And so I would come over here, 1986, 87, 88, and then there was one day where they just looked at me and they just said, "You're the chairman of telecommunications. Your job is to move us from analog to digital. Your job is to move us from dial-up to broadband. We can't have these revolutions unless we move to a new model for communications, and then things that are unimaginable will be possible." And so I was able to pass 3 laws in 1992, 1993, and then 1996, that when President Clinton signed the 3rd bill, not one home in America had broadband. So that was February of 1996. And today, if you're a 14-year-old girl, you believe you have a constitutional right to a 65-inch screen with another wireless device in your lap. Okay? The capacity now to process information, to use it, is just dramatically different. And so that's where we are today. We're at the place that the impossible becomes possible, where the vision becomes reality. And so it's just so great to be here with you and to be here with the great Norman Foster, his wife Elena, just an incredible, visionary, a designer, someone who cross-cuts technologies in order to think of sustainable models for the future to solve the problems that seemed impossible to solve by thinking through sustainable design in order to get to the solutions which we need, and to do so on a multidisciplinary basis. That's what this is all about. Recombinant, technological DNA, looking at different disciplines and coming together to find all of these solutions. So we thank you, David. We thank Kent. Thank you for your great leadership on all of these issues. To the mayor of Kharkiv, Mayor Tirakov. We thank you for thinking about the future of your great city and how you can make it better, greater than it's ever been by incorporating all of these new technologies. So from my perspective, I look at this and I say, well, you know, the planet is running a fever. There are no emergency rooms for planets, so we have to engage in preventative care. We have to put in place the policies that dramatically reduce the greenhouse gases that are going up into the atmosphere. And we know that it's possible. In the year 1900, we were just completing 6,000 years of being dependent upon horses for transportation. And in the year 1900, there were now 4,000 internal combustion vehicles on the planet, 1900. By the time you reach 2008, the internal combustion engine, which solved a lot of problems, was now creating a lot of problems in terms of its impact upon society and upon our planet. And by 2008, we were at a point where there were 4,000 all-electric vehicles on the planet. That's all we had, 2008. This is like pre-Tesla. And so policies had to change. We needed to begin to think anew about what was possible in the future. Now, our goal now in the United States, as of this year, is to have 40% of all new vehicles in our country by the year 2030 being electric. In Germany, it's 65% by the year 2030, with high goals for reducing greenhouse gases. But we know that while the problem is global, the solutions are ultimately going to be local. And we have to put in place the policies that ensure that we are going to be able to move rapidly towards those solutions. So I was the author in 2009 of the Waxman-Markey bill. That was a bill that was going to spend $1 trillion and reduce greenhouse gases by 80% by the year 2050. It passed the House of Representatives, but it died in the Senate, with the oil, gas, and coal companies spending more money, according to Yale University, to kill that bill than any other bill had spent against it in the history of the United States Congress. So on the one hand, I'm proud. On the other hand, it was a tragedy, because we know that we can do this, that the problem is not technological, it is political. And you have to find the ways in order to deploy all of these technologies. So in this $369 billion Inflation Reduction Act that we have just passed, according to Credit Suisse, it's going to unleash $1.7 trillion worth of private sector investment. And the legislation is targeting many of these issues, at a local level that have long gone unaddressed. And that, combined with the funding that is in the infrastructure bill, the $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill that we passed in November of 2021, combined with the $51 billion in the CHIPS Act to bring the chip industry back home here, combined with the doubling of the National Science Foundation budget from $8 billion a year to $19 billion a year, $80 billion over the next 5 years, it is going to be injecting into our scientific and technology ecosystem the kind of spur to move and to move more rapidly, because there is an urgency to this problem. It is a crisis. That's why I actually, just 4 years ago, had lunch with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and she and we talked about this issue. And I said, I know how to write a 1,400-page bill. I did that, and they killed it. Let's write a 14-page resolution. And we worked together, we introduced it in the Green New Deal, in this movement that has created the momentum for this moment where the funding is coming together, where it's now possible to think in this way. And Michelle Wu, our great mayor of Boston, she ran as a Green New Deal mayor, thinking of it, yes, in terms of technology, yes, in terms of the crisis, but also simultaneously as a place where we have to think locally. What are we going to do in order to implement these solutions on a local basis to be the model in Boston, in Kendall Square, for how we solve these problems? And then those problems are going to have solutions that can be exported to other places around our country. So inside of this incredible piece of legislation, we were able to add funding for so many of the things that you are going to be able to talk about here today. We included $3 billion for neighborhood access and an equity grant program. We have a Reconnecting Communities program for $1 billion, Connecting America's Active Transportation System Act, $1 billion, bike lanes that are safe and get you to where you need to go, building accessible paths between T stations and bus stops, changing highways to multi-use boulevards, diesel emissions reductions, $60 million. And all of this funding can replace dirty buses with clean ones, help buy new garbage trucks, tow trucks, stop polluting neighborhoods, get kids learning, and while not burning fossil fuels, $1 billion in clean school bus funding already has been awarded. But we're just at the dawn of this era. And we also built in $60 billion for environmental justice for Black, brown, immigrant, poor communities in America for the first time. That's a Green New Deal way of thinking about this. Not just what do we give as incentives to big corporations, but what are we going to do specifically in communities that have historically been adversely impacted. That's Chelsea and Lawrence, it's Roxbury and South Central LA, it's cities all across this planet who desperately are going to need these solutions. So it would have been unimaginable when Jerome Wiesner and Nick Negroponte were talking to me about a device in your pocket that would be like a computer on the Apollo mission, but they were talking to me like that in 1987, 89. And now in Ukraine and in Uganda, people are walking around with that device in their pockets, invented in America and exported around the world. So these solutions have to be found here. And we have to do the work. And that's why this conference is just so important. This problem that we have is global, but the solutions are local. Tip O'Neill, who was the congressman from Cambridge for so many years, said all politics is local. Now all politics is hyper-local. How do we get into each one of these systems and make sure that we use the best technology, the best science, the best design in order to reduce dramatically on a person-by-person, community-by-community basis this problem that was created by the Industrial Revolution, while creating new jobs by the millions, saving people money by the billions, and unleashing private investments by the trillions. We can do this, but it has to have the vision of and moral authority of the Civil Rights Act. It has to have the vision and the technological goals of the moonshot. And it has to have the inclusiveness of a movement that the Green New Deal and young people in our country want to see to solve these problems of today. So I thank the MIT Media Lab. Thank you for all of your brilliance that you are bringing to this issue. Thank you to the Fosters for everything that you are doing to help to inspire this next generation to find these solutions. And it's going to be my honor to partner with everyone in this room in order to have children have to look to the history books to find that there ever was such a problem as climate change on our planet. Thank you all so much for everything that you are doing.